We woke up the memory, we woke up the initiative, and I want to see it through. Chiwa namiti cham. Chiwa tamanwit binasikwasha. Chiwa namit nanawit. But wanasha, it's tamanwit. Nami anislan mikni.
My name is Kristen Parr, and I am the program manager for the language program. My Indian name is Támayčt. The Támayčt project is a grant that we applied for and received to make a documentary about the process of baking certain foods in the oven in the ground. It was probably the most in dire need of documenting because there's only just a few people that understand and know how to do the whole thing from beginning to end. I'm the coordinator of the grant, so I have to be there and just make sure that everybody has what they needed. Working in the language program, we've had an opportunity to do a Támayčt before. And so luckily for us, we already have people on our crew, the language crew, that already knew it. And so I knew right away that I would be involving Thomas and Mildred and then Fred.
My name is Fred Hill, Frederick Arlen Hill Sr. My Indian name is Támayčt. Támayčt is a placement underneath. When you say Tamalut, then it's an immersion. But Támayčt, so anything that has that, like Tamalut, Támayčt, this has to do with beneath. Tamnanachna and Minnakakasna, Niku Chiaukuki wa Atwai. Niku Anachi Tish Isikuta Anashiman pa Kinuta Nakup Akhwajamun Pashukota Natun Awa Akhwait Kanait Nikush Isikotash Akhwaja and the Ku Mianashmam and the Ku Chowpwachna Chowkuk.
Inishwanisha Tisiwak. My name is Tisiwak in the Indian language. Kushiapatumki Nishwanisha Mildred Ann Quimps. And in English, my name is Mildred Ann Quimps. Timani Tichum Timush Nishwa Yakima. So I'm enrolled at the Yakima tribe. Kuyam Nishwa Chinakni Wailetpu. I'm a Umatilla master speaker, and the Cayuse language is no longer here. It became extinct in the 1930s.
When you say Shin Kinash, Chinese, Dach and Hana, as one oit. My name is Thomas Morning Owl. I was raised here in the Umatilla Reservation. Na itlasin kunashabas Dach and Hana, Hout me ba, Liatin. Au kuku kunachi Chalaman cook, but Sinwi Hana, Shiapatumki, who's Kuni Basapa Basapsi Questionas, Kushi. Kushawa namis dach kuna haut me ba tami ba basinwisha it's a skin sinwit out yes kuni inch kwasania ustaima na me na jinchi mama na kumapo akush subsequent tami no haut me kni au cook bashaba sikwan klach na tunt kolat mani banak nui dach na kushi waltaikas tun kanait and me subsequent how me. What we're doing is passing this teachings down to future generations, and hopefully it will be a part of the literary world that they can use as a guide to know some of these processes that are just kept in the back of our minds that we've never written down and that we've never really taught before. So this is a good tool.
My name is Anton Minthorn. I do have an Indian name, Himaphaskaon or Big Don. I work here with the language program as more as a consultant and an oral historian. The language program is in the education department of the tribe. I am also a former tribal councilman on tribal council for 26 years of tracking the history of the tribe. The time I was with the tribe up to today. We're losing the language, and that's what we're trying to revitalize, and that is a huge challenge.
The grant really is a language revitalization grant, and so we narrowed down a few things by going by that. Basically, I brought it to the team, and we all kind of decided together that that would be the best one. And I had really good help. Tara Farrow Furman had written the phase 1 and 2 of this 3-phase grant. And so everybody was really excited and happy, that it actually went through and that we would have an opportunity to do that. We really want to have as much language as we can, the least amount of English as we can, to be a learning tool for the community, not just to learn the process of the activity, but also the language that goes with it, because that is really the point there. You can say some of the things in English, but it doesn't have the same meaning or the feeling that it does when you talk about it in the languages.
My name is William Saigo IV. I'm the Umatilla General Council Chairman. Inishwaniksha Pianishat in me Sinwit. This project to me is a practice of our treaty rights. This process in particular with the CAMAS or CAMAS root takes 3 days for it to cure and be edible. A lot of the times we don't have the chance to do this kind of thing as a regular practice because we're stuck in modern society and not in the woods with all our resources. I think everybody in this modern day should actually think of this ground oven as in an old school slow cooker. We have them today where somebody's going to throw in a roast and then they'll go about their business and come back to it later and it'll be done. This was the same process traditionally, where our people would get our food, make that fire, keep it going throughout the period that it needed to, and then have a big feast.
My name's Lisa Minthorn. My Indian name is Támayčt. We're going to archive it. Not just archive it, we need to archive it and keep it for the present so it lives forever and we do have access to it at all times. So towards the end, that'll be more my role.
Kna Támayčt nisha kinun khana pa nisha tun nakut yamash ku wawikia ku tsutlam whichmas ku nishikin khana kush pa kushki pa Támayčt khana yaka na.
Kinushnash anatuni what Támayčt Pakuyan Ramani Inawa Jisioknum Yaka Nukut Tunch Nukut Yamas Wawakia Tun Tutlim out Yanagus Mimi but Támayčt Khana Yaka Kut but Támayčt Khana.
If anybody shot a bear, which really shooting the bear wasn't something that was a common practice for us to go, to hunt bear. But if anybody did shoot one, then they wouldn't let it go to waste. So they made sure that when they did cook it up, that it was done in that earthen oven. And Támayčt.
Out Yanagus Anai and one but Támayčt Khana Tun Knit. You are welcome, Gushki Stushma, but Támayčt Khana Sutuchs.
Good day, my name is Damian Totis. I'm an enrolled member of the Yakama Nation. I'm a part of the Kamispa band along the Columbia River. My grandmother's telling me stories about the things that they've done in preparation for the CAMAS. And I've experienced doing the kunch as a young child, young boy. And from that time till now, it's been almost right about 30 years since I've seen this done. And to see the actual work of the CAMAS being done and to be part of it is a real good experience.
Ku CAMAS pa Támayčt and Hana Knahwami pa Paris Johnson Creek. Kush ya Knapa Wautuk and Hana Kuin na Mikatlay. Gus Hawacha Támayčt Kuknai pa Min Napt Istma pa Aniaya.
Well, years ago when I first had done this project, I helped my grandmas out one year down at Warm Springs. They had us get the things ready and have it all set up. And when it came time to put everything in the ground, I saw a different part of my grandmas I never thought I'd see before. They were mean. They were, hurry up, get this in there, get it in there, get out of the way. And then they put everything in the way they wanted it all put in there. Then we just had to stand there and watch the fire after that because we wanted to help, see what they're doing, how they're getting everything put in there, and just kind of got in their way and got them mad and then got thrown out of there. And I never thought I'd be that way. I thought, oh, it's this process, it's kind of just do it upright. When we first did this project up here at Támayčt a number of years ago, about 20 years ago now, I found myself doing the same thing, yelling around, screaming around, telling everyone to look at those young men and women, telling them to get, because they're not used to having to move fast to get to trap the heat in, because they don't see this process, and that's vital that they move fast. First off is what you're gonna Támayčt, whether it's meat or roots or moss or whatever it's gonna be. Part of that's a big part because you can't just go down to Walmart and buy a couple of gallons of CAMAS. You got to make that commitment to go out there and gather it. You have to make that commitment to take care of it, and so that's only the starting process.
We're here because we need to gather our foods for our Támayčt, which is the earth oven that we're working on, and we were lucky enough to work with Winnix. I'm Winnix Red Elk. I'm the Public Education Outreach Specialist for the Department Natural Resources and Cultural Resource Protection Program. So when you go out to a field, you want to make sure that you're only taking about 10% of that area. So when you're coming back out to the area, you're also helping it reestablish, because in the process of the way that they're digging the CAMAS, they're aerating the ground by taking and digging and putting their cup in, and they're loosening up that area. And as they dig, when they're done taking the bulb, they're able to take the top of the seed and put it back in. First, you need a cuppin or a tuchus so you can dig it in the ground. Sometimes in some places, I have heard of people using shovels in different places, but I only use a cuppin when I'm digging, and that's the way that I was taught. What we're using to hold them in is the ʷapas.
I guess probably for us it would be known as Indian chocolate. It honors, who we are as a people, because sometimes these foods get, if they get cooked good and they get placed in cans, jars or whatever, and then they're given out as gifts to people. And a lot of that information is conveyed out to who did this, who gathered it, who baked it. And some of the old stories that I've listened to of recordings, everything was about food gathering seasonally, and it was very important to be able to gather at the appropriate times, to make use of those times, and to be able to have food in store. not only for to survive, but also, like for wedding trades or for namings or even for death and funerals.
We're always knowledgeable of our foods having a sister plant that wasn't edible, and most of the time was highly poisonous, to say the least.
Early in the springtime, we usually have to go out there and make sure that there's none. The white top blossom is not close to the blue ones, and they try to either mark them or they just try to, or they just someone that goes out there to check, then they either try to get rid of it or they just mark it so that no one will get near it. The blue one is the good one, the good sister, or the good one, and the white one is the one that kills all the cattle and any livestock that walks there and they eat it. And so every now and then you go out in the rangeland, you'll see them, And there's always a designated person that will go out there and look for that white top CAMAS first. And if not, then just got to make sure that when we bring anyone out there that they don't dig that one out. And then
The difference that one needs to know and needs to be aware of is the difference between the death camas and the regular food camas. And they kind of grow in similar areas, but then the death camas has a propensity of drying in open areas where cattle are grazing. And it can survive in a drier area than what the blue camas does. Its Indian name is called alapishish, and then the regular camas is called khmash. Anam kana mun, but we not the khnita kuknam shukurachna, anatuniwa alapishish kutuniwa khmash. Laxi latisha lumped ku away laxi latisha plush ku iwa mlalach au ku isapapa iwitalam. Chawe awetlam awa khnit anam kumun tkurata payo shach. Out yanagush and kani sikwash and the time wa chiwa malla chiwa alapishis ku chiwa khmash kunam kani shukodachna. Au kuk nas kuni aiken iwa napt and a kush chawit iwa kusim latin lumped nach chinmankni. It's a tawchen kwa lachs yu kwami wat kuman tarachu spine man ku kna wadashin kwami patkhano ku stachen khana Crescent City, California knik ach yu kuna kwami Canada yao ku wa lam Latisha ku chao iwan ku shnami chani ku aku pos kusim iwa ku iwa tkolatai ku chao tai namun skawit away alapishish. You know that you need to know what the difference is between these roots as they grow in different habitats, and they have different environments in which they grow as well. And it's something that, as we go into this project, we have to be able to distinguish and leave behind teaching that this is a good one, this is a bad one, because one is a poison, and we're not talking a casual poison just to make you sick in the stomach. It's been known to actually, cause death. And so you have to be very careful with it. But then they don't seem to grow very much together. But in those certain circumstances, you got to be able to teach the students how to recognize one from the other. The seed pods are different. The color of the seed pods when they go to seed is different as well. It's up to us as teachers to make sure that the students and those that will be learning from this project will be able to identify the differences between these two vastly different plants alepishish, the death camas, and chamash, the edible camas. The hook that's put into it, and that helps you to get leverage out on the ground and bring it up. So.
Yeah, sometimes you don't go deep enough. This is what you'll get. You'll break the root. If you're lucky enough, you can find it. You still find it.
That would be the safest route, is try to get the ones with the seed pods. And what's really amazing about these ones, they're just right under the ground.
Right now, too, I have 3 summer youth workers, which is really cool because they're freshmen. They're about to be freshmen in high school, and they're only allowed to work with the program 20 hours a week, but they get to do a full day today with us digging. And so that's kind of neat to pass it on. It's kind of the perpetuation part and the revitalization part, too, to pass on the knowledge. And this is their first time digging CAMAS. And so I think that's pretty neat. They got a new route on their list of things that they know what to look for.
When the supplies are coming to do this project, there's a lot of things that are in the background. Not only is it the roots that you're getting to put in the ground, or the moss or the meat or whatever it is, you got to think about the rocks themselves. And a lot of times, if you're going down the road, you happen to be going to Portland or going to Seattle or someplace along the big mountains, well, you stop and pick up a bunch of those types of rocks that you need. Then bring them home, and then you could either use them for a sweat house or even this project.
You learn that there's particular rocks that you have to go and find.
You can't just get any ordinary rock and make a fire and then put the rocks under, because they literally will explode.
They're kind of a light, pumicey kind of airy rock. And the reason it's really good is that it's light, it holds the heat, and it's just a unique type of rock. And once the student becomes acquainted with it, they'll be looking at those kind of rocks. Oh, hey, where did you go get rocks?
1, 2, 3, go. With these bigger rocks, you get the bigger ones, like this size. And you use them for the chamash, especially chamash. Meats, you can use this size, little smaller ones. But for 3 days, I use these bigger ones to hold more heat.
Good ilquas, the wood, good hot burning wood that will, makes a flame.
Now the wood, you can use alder, which is kind of getting harder to find now. And I like that cottonwood. That worked excellent. And I have to look for more cottonwood, to use in this process. We've used orchard wood from dead orchards because it doesn't pop and explode. So if you looking to recycle and reuse, find somebody that's tearing out an orchard and get as much of that wood as you can, because that's a really good wood to use. Then we use the sweetener agent, which is the shukha. But because of the time of year that we're doing this project now, the first installment, all the leaves are beginning to fall from where the mint grew. So I had to take a day and go try to find some, and luckily we did find some. So I got a big bale of that as well. The sweetening agent is called Támayčt, to put down for the sweetness. So that's what this plant is, a shukha. There's another variety that you can gather down to the lowland area that grows in dry areas, as well as some that grow along the rivers. So all these things you got to keep in the back of your mind. You see something and you know where it's at, and kind of log it in. Oh, that's where that you can get the mint. Oh, this is where you can get this or whatever. when the time comes.
And there's just all kinds of things that have sweetener. Hay, that was kind of a new thing I never seen before. Yeah, but it's working, the alfalfa. No wonder the horses like to eat it. Yeah.
One of our elders, he worked for the language program here. He kind of his credo was work smarter, not harder. Because just use a bale of hay. We use, cows eat it, horses eat it. It doesn't hurt. We eat alfalfa. This comes in. You can break it into little sections like that and put it in there just fast. Work smarter, not harder. So that's what we did for this project. We used a bale of pretty hot, pretty pure alfalfa hay. And those little things they begin to overlook, like shovels and rakes and picks and axes and that type of stuff, is you just take them for granted. You don't think that you've got to have them there, and you got to, keep them handy and that type of stuff. So, those are little things. And then we're all excited about the CAMAS being cooked, but we're almost forgetting about the jars. It's the little things, the little things, and having to, get yourself set up so once it comes out of the ground, you can put it right into the jars, seal it, and it'll be done.
All the other roots you can get, you can dry them, you can grind them, then dry them. This food, chmash, is the only way it can be prepared. I have never heard of any way of preparing it other than this way.
Cut the wood up, make sure that there's enough wood to make the fire for how many days that they choose to bake the food. Getting the fire done and then putting the rocks on. Getting the roots cleaned up, getting them put in a clean cover.
Their peels came off pretty easy compared to other roots, but I still had calloused fingers and dirty nails just like any other roots. They were kind of actually bigger than other roots.
Getting the mud and the needles ready.
Use the pine needles in that, the dead pine needles and water and the dirt.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
We set it all up. We had it all arranged where there was a dirt pile right next to the. We moved the dirt over there close to the pit itself, so where you could just really shovel it in fast.
Know each other. So it's like an offspring.
We put the hay there, piled it in one area, the sweetener. Gave each person a job to do and explained it to them how they're going to have to get it taken care of. The mud layer will go on, and when the mud goes on, it's going to get smoky, and it's going to bring that one around over here. Then after the mud, the alfalfa will go in. Once the alfalfa goes in, then the mint, half of the mint will go in. So somebody would have the mint. After we get the mint in there, we'll put the bags on it. Then when the bags are in, then we'll grab the other half of the mint to put it on top. After the mint is on top, then we'll use this half of the bale to go on top. And then we'll go with the canvas. You see that canvas right there? Builder to watch the mint, half of it. We'll do the mud and try to get it as flat as we can. The rakes right away here, shovel, pitchfork. Ready? Out! Out, come on. As soon as we hit the rocks, try to flatten it out as quickly as we could. Then the half of a bale of hay went in there to make the insulation layer. The sweetener. Oh.
Let them?
Okay. The bag's right in the middle there.
Do we want it over a little while we know the rocks are? I'll let you get in there. Do you want to move that over?
More of the sweetener, more of the hay.
Double or single?
Okay. Double or single? You want it doubled over? Canvas. Doubled.
Okay. Next one.
So everything?
This side right here. Out. Just on this side. Oh.
Okay.
Canvas.
Canvas to make the separation barrier.
Shovel. You're ready.
There. Shovels.
Shovels.
Just start shoveling as fast as you can, and as furiously as you can, to make sure there's a good enough layer between, so you won't burn through your canvas and burn down into your insulating layer. It's got to be enough where you could build a fire on and keep it on there.
All of our traditional work is very difficult.
Well, no matter if we all, a whole bunch of us together, it's still a lot of hard work just to get to that place where we're going to get the roots baked in the ground or Támayčt.
Here, Mark, turn. I'll do that. Go over there. See that little smoke's coming out?
One of the adages that people have used, and I've heard it many times, is saying when it comes to hard work, it's hard to be an Indian. It's hard to be an Indian. Because the way of life that our elders lived, they had to be self-reliant. There was no Walmarts, no Albertsons, no Safeways. Every bit of food that they put away for the winter, they had to do it as a product of their own initiative.
As you hear a lot of people saying that the stories of stereotypes that we're lazy people, or we're lazy people, and to have someone and go through this process, it takes a lot of work.
That's pit
Filling
so
it up.
big, you could have done like a double pit, huh?
Yeah.
You could have had one for
Another one
cooking.
over here. Keep pulling that one. Alex, here, we're going to fill that in.
And one of the things that you have to be aware of when you're cooking is that you're going to smell when you're leaking heat. You can smell where from underside the steam will come out of the oven, and you got to pack it down and seal it.
It can be draining, physically draining, just tiring.
And then you start the fire on top of it, keep the fire going on top.
There's a drying shed right there. That's what that's for.
Now we got to watch it.
Take a chime.
Everybody say Támayčt, and then so we say Támayčt, and then we throw the dirt on the fire to chase it back into the ground. Támayčt, Támayčt.
Completance and Támayčt on.
I believe the importance of what is going on in this project is to retain the knowledge of this process. Not very many people know this process anymore. So there are those that have learned. The ones that have learned and been exposed to this here on this reservation has been through the efforts of basically like the language program, in that we had elders that remembered this process and wanted to see it done. So in the beginning we processed pine moss, or the moss, the lichen, and that was a number of years ago before the Támayčt was completed, when they're still constructing Támayčt, and that was the first time when we did this and tried to get the process documented. But that was with a total different. We had the pine moss then. And then we had culture camp a number of years later up at the lake, and we were gifted buffalo, and we cooked that in the ground to show that you can do this process with meat or the roots themselves. And then later on, we did it again. We cooked 2 elk in the ground, and that was good, and the kids learned a lot. And some of the first students that we had were from Salmon Corps, that helped out with this process back in, I would say, 1996.
Because Ian's 27, and he
Yeah.
would have been a counselor when we baked. He would have been like 15, so.
Yeah, in 96, when we did it before the Támayčt was built. And that was our first go. And since then, we can, count it on our hands less than 10 times since that we've ever really taken this process to the end, completion.
Of this food.
But this is the first time I'm attempting to, find out about the CAMAS.
Taminwa, always, chi imitilama, for cha chtukut lama. Kakush glachtun pa anichana, or to Támayčt pa chdisha.
Your mental, your physical, your spiritual connection is a lot different as a Native person doing these types of projects because you have another connection that to your people that you never had before, and this is a good opportunity to keep that going.
Támayčt, just the name itself, to have them understand what it's called. Támayčt. That way they won't lose of the name of it instead of just calling it all the time earth oven, earth oven. This has a name. It's called Támayčt. So you keep on calling it earth oven, even that, because it has a life. And if you forget its name, it's not going to work for you in a proper manner. In the ways of our culture, our teachings, is you forget the name of things, it's not going to come back. It's not going to work for you. If you forget the name of the fish, the animals, the roots, the berries, they're not going to come back. Or you're not going to find them anymore. So just like this, Támayčt, you call it by that name, it'll be glad that you remembered what it's called, and it'll be happy, and it'll work well for you.
When you say it in our language, it just encompasses more than just saying earth oven. To me, when you say that word Támayčt, it really brings a lot of things up. It means the love and the care that it takes to put the foods in the ground and cover it up. And we know that we will be watching it for that many days and all the things that are encompassed into that. It's like a way to honor our ancestors, to show them that we still know that they're here with us in our hearts and our blood flowing through our veins and our bodies, and that we still honor them by, practicing these things that they've been taught, since the beginning of time.
Támayčt is, I'll say it's our tamna. It's like a heart now. It's becoming like a heart. It's going to be the central, and it's going to be bringing our people together.
It keeps us connected to, how our people sustain themselves with, what they gathered. Gets our people to know what the materials are needed. Also the geographical locations, within the ceded lands to where to go.
It ties us to the past. Some of the people that we talked to that heard about this project going on, oh, my grandpa used to do that. Oh, my grandmother did this. Oh, this is what he did with my grandpa. And it awakens these memories that have lain dormant for a number of years, and it awakes their soul, their heart to remember back to a time when some of them were just small children, and creates that bond once again to the memories of their grandparents that really meant a lot to them.
I really hope that the community embraces this video and everybody wants a copy, and then they'll all want to watch it, and then they'll all want to try it. You know what I mean? It would be really neat if we could perpetuate this activity forever.
I hope that this continues, as this way of cooking food is, I consider an art, because you go through the process of building your pit, how it's going to be too deep, too shallow. Then you're just, even the size of rocks you get, the fire, the type of wood you use to make the fire. And then you got your end product. You got your food that's in there. Now to come out when it's done, is it undercooked? Is it overcooked? Or is it just right? Is the whole thing of it is to experience it.
When I get to see this process, I want my children here, somewhere along the way, to make sure they get to actually witness it. Not just watch a video after, but say, okay, I was there.
So long as I enjoy food, I'm gonna continue this process, because our first foods in particular have to be cooked this way, and they have to be cooked for a long duration for them to be cured and able for us to eat.
Continuation, not necessarily just for I guess, project's purpose, but just for the purpose of actually, constant use. For CTUIR, for CAMAS, for maybe cooking full animals, because today we also have the treaty right to go and hunt buffalo in Montana, and so it would be good to Támayčt, Támayckt, the buffalo meat.
I think the young people have to participate to keep those cultures alive, to keep them going.
Today I think our kids need to learn sometimes what all our people went through physical labor-wise, just to survive. So maybe once in a while I think we just need to take them out there and camp for a couple of weeks or longer and, learn to chop wood and what it takes, to just be out there.
It's just like the most important thing in the world to me, to have people realize that we have words that aren't English, and we have a whole identity, and that when you don't know the language, like, you don't even know that you are missing out until you start really learning the words. And one of our elders, Don's so happy, he explains it so perfectly when you learn from him, that when you start learning the language, your spirit comes alive. And I think, it is so profound when you actually get to have that happen to you, that you just want to keep going. You just want to motivate other people to do the same thing, because you want them to realize, wow, I didn't even know that we could do this, and I didn't even know that I could be this kind of token until I learned these words, and now I'm a whole different kind of person.
The young people that's there to help dig, to do all the labor, is a plus, because not only are they participating, they're storing it as future knowledge. And the more people that gets involved with it, the more people we're going to need to help out, the more teachers we're going to have. So we awoke something that we hope to will run away from us, and that the people will embrace it for a healthy lifestyle, for activity, for social teaching, a social medium.
Me and him and my brothers, we all talk our language pretty strong. Yet and kuyam na mi menashmache sinwisheku na kuyam na mi katlamar tilamache per sinwisha. If we stay there at home, we have our children talking now. Kushina achachopta chiklachten now it could kukushki na chachopsha na misinwit. Where, when we wake up, all these, our Indian ways and what we have to do to take care of all our foods, then our language is going to be awake. Love for our language and our culture that keeps us moving forward, and that. But we just not the only ones here. We've got to have more people that have that same willingness and commitment to go forward and teaching the language and our culture, not just where's Thomas at, where's Mildred, where's Fred, where's Damien, So there'll be a lot more people to be calling out.
A lot of people used to talk about how they did not allow things to be recorded, right? Because it's against the Támayčt or the law. A big thing comes from the history, because they don't want people to steal it, to steal the information. But this is a different time now, the 21st century. We're an information world, and in order for us, the way that natives did things back in the day, like the oral teaching and all that kind of stuff, they had the time where the children could sit down and they could, listen to these stories over and over and over every year. And that's how they passed their culture on. Kids and adults even are, inundated with like so much technology and so many things that are pulling their attention, and so it's really hard to get people to want to buy into being traditional or, practicing these things. But with video help and technology, we can take this project into the future. We can take this activity, this cultural practice that's been happening since the beginning of time, obviously, because they needed to eat. And like with CAMAS, there's only one way you can cook it, and that's baking it in the ground. How many people ever even knew that, And so when we get this video out there, I mean, gosh, can you imagine how much we're saving, and how much we're really bringing it back, to practice, and hopefully it'll be a common practice.
You hear people make an argument, and when they don't want to get involved, they go, why in the heck are you guys doing that? Look at the white man stole our land, the white man stole the way of life, the white man stole our language, and now you're just making it easy for them to steal the teachings that you have. And I hear that many, many, many times, over and over and over. You put it in a book, you're just going to take it and sell it. You put it on whatever. So I don't share nothing that I know with a white man because they're just going to steal it. And only thing I can say about that is, it's not the white people that's going to steal it from our future generations. If anything can be stolen of our traditional way of life, it's only going to be stolen by those of us that have it in our hearts and take it to the ground with us and not pass it on. Whether it's our language, whether it's our hunting knowledge, or fishing knowledge, root knowledge, even the knowledge of Támayčt. If we teach it to our children, we're giving them a gift. And to those that are always saying, white man's stealing everything, well, give up your damn house. Give up your gun. Give up your horse, everything, and live the way that you're talking about. Because you're the same one. You live with your electricity. You live with your air conditioning in the summer. You run down to Walmart. You run down to Safeway. You run to Costco. You're not up there digging those roots. You're not up there teaching them how to be prepared. You're not up there doing the berries or on the river fishing and that type of stuff. So if you say anything's going to be stolen, it's going to be those people that have that attitude, that don't share that, are the ones that are stealing it from the future. Not me, not her. This is going to be our tracks. We're leaving a trail. We're leaving a trail for our children to follow us one day. And so there's no way you can steal it. We're saving it. So this is a gift from us to those that participated, those in the future that will see this project on film, will be able to reconstruct what we've done. And that way, our testament will be, those are teachers. They taught. And they didn't take it with them. They were willing to share, to make that commitment, keep with it, and the rewards will be self-evident at the time of the ending.
Shitani alakai chitamanayo.